Get that grant, a focus on data. Hi, I'm Susannah Erler, Director of Greater Good Strategies, and I'm your nonprofit geek. We're going to talk about grant applications and data. Imagine this scenario. You are a nonprofit professional. Someone at your nonprofit has assigned you a grant application to complete. Your organization could receive thousands of dollars from the grant. You are now reading the grant guidelines and application questions. Here are some reactions. The application requires so much. Why do they want all this data? I can't answer these questions. Oh, wait, I'm a good writer. So I'll just add an inspirational story. The funder will be so inspired that they'll pick our nonprofit for a grant, and they'll forget about those data questions. Does this sound familiar? Let's take a closer look at that scenario. And by the end of this video, you will feel empowered to use data to get that grant. Okay, first question. Why do funders want all that data? Here's some background. Put yourself in the shoes of the funder. Would you write a check to someone you did not know, had never met, or even if they said to you, "We promise to do something good with the investment"? Yes, funders do feel inspired by stories, descriptions of what you do, but the shape, the scope, the full, complete picture really comes into focus with the data you share, the measurables you share. It defines what your nonprofit has done and what it can do. They want their investment to go where there's a high probability for strong outcomes. They can read your mission statement, and that's important. But to get that grant, funders want to see measurements, your past, your present, and your future. Measuring your mission, your programs, your service. Remember when we learned about measuring tools in school? Measure, measure, measure. The same thing applies here. So you've got this. First things first. If you're approaching a grant funder, make sure their funding priorities match your needs. For example, if they are about the arts and your nonprofit is focused on ending hunger, that's not a match, and you'll be measuring different outcomes. That's an extreme example, but consider spending your grant writing time on a grant opportunity that definitely aligns with your mission. So next, you have found a grant opportunity that aligns with your mission. Let's talk about two things a funder wants to learn in a grant application. Sometimes there are a lot of questions on application forms, but most often there are two very important questions a funder asks about. What is the need, and what will the outcomes be? So let's look at need. The first question on a grant application is usually some form of, why is this funding needed? And a later question is, what change or outcomes will be made with this funding? Here are grant application question examples on the screen. Here are some examples of a way to measure these and to provide data. Here's our scenario. There's a nonprofit, in this case, the American Diabetes Association, whose mission includes the goal to prevent diabetes. Say, someone on their team is writing a grant application to gain funding for a diabetes prevention program. And this program will include a focus on exercise. Without measurable data, a grant writer might write a need statement like this. There are some people who don't know they are at risk for diabetes. They need to exercise and to lose weight. We are going to help them. Convincing? How about a need statement like this instead? Note the data and measurables. Over 88 million U.S. adults have prediabetes, a serious health condition in which blood sugar levels are higher than normal. A person with prediabetes is at high risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. In 2017, the total estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes was $327 billion, including $237 billion in direct medical costs and $90 billion in absenteeism, reduced productivity, and inability to work. Whoa, that data convinces me this is important. A lot of people. Higher than normal blood sugar levels. That's a lot of money it is costing. High risk. That's not good. So as a grant application reader at the funding organization, I'm interested. You've shown a community need using data. Now show the grant reviewer that this proposed exercise program will work using data. Well, research has shown that the proposed program can cut the risk of prediabetes developing into type 2 diabetes by 58%. Whoa. So there's a need in the community, and we've just seen there is a need for this program in particular. Let's jump to outcomes. Here's what an application answer might say using data. People in the program will increase their physical activity levels to 30 minutes a day. And after a year, they will also gain the health benefits of losing an average of 15 pounds. Based on past research, we expect that for every 25 people who complete this program, the experience will prevent 5 people from developing type 2 diabetes after a year. Wow, convincing outcomes with the data. So now that we've taken a look at some examples of how to use data in your grant application, here are some tips. Tip number 1, if you find yourself stumped for how to measure the need or the outcomes, think of this question. What is the change you are trying to create? How can you measure the distance between where things are and where your nonprofit wants them to be? A nonprofit whose mission is to alleviate human suffering might say the change might be fewer people who are clinically depressed, for example. So think of what you are measuring in terms of the change you want to create. And now, some go-to data sources. Census.gov. Check it out, learn it, love it, you can use it. And while you're there, the American Community Survey at census.gov is very helpful too. And if you're in Central Texas, the CAN Dashboard, Community Advancement Network for the Austin Area Dashboard, is a great data source. Also, the Travis County Research and Planning Division is very helpful with data as well. Stay positive. You can do this. You are now empowered with information. Jump into the process, use data, use measurables, use them to tell your story, and watch the winning grants roll in. Thank you for all you do for your community. Thanks for watching. I'm Susannah Erler, your nonprofit geek.